Ted Cruz is really putting the pedal to the metal in the Republican primary, and he's trying desperately to get ahead in the polls. So for those of you who haven't been paying attention up to this point, when Ted started, people thought, oh, okay, he's going to be a contender. You know, he gave a speech at some religious university, and the media was like, ooh, we're dealing with a serious candidate here. But after his first debate performance, things kind of petered off a little bit, and he's like, I don't know, he's not getting the kind of momentum that he thought he would get at this point. The debate numbers, his poll numbers for the first debate were not great, and there's not like a second wind coming here. He's not rallying and getting more people to his side. So he's kind of panicking. And what he decided to do in that panic is get support from a particular group, namely evangelical Christians. So he's like, I will become a bigger theocrat, that's a better way of saying it, than Rick Santorum and Mike Huckabee. Now, that's hard to do because those guys are basically already on the record as saying, I want this to be the Christian Saudi Arabia. Let's make America the Christian Saudi Arabia. But Ted Cruz is like, oh yeah? You want to do that? Well, I want to be the Christian Ayatollah. How about that? So let me give you some specifics here. The Texas Tribune reports, quote, Ted Cruz will take a lead role in the launch this week of an ambitious 50-state campaign to end taxpayer support for Planned Parenthood. More than 100,000 pastors received email invitations over the weekend to participate in conference calls with Cruz on Tuesday, in which they will learn the details of the plan to mobilize churchgoers in every congressional district beginning August 30th. Now, the article goes on, and it's so sad, and it's so sleazy, because it shows who Ted Cruz really is. The article goes on to give quotes from Cruz, where every time Cruz makes some sort of religious point, he has to follow it up with like, and that's why you have to get to the polls and vote for me for president. I mean, it's such a power play. It's all about narcissism, and he's playing a role here. He realizes, hey, I'm not doing as well in the polls as I thought. Trump is doing better, but so I need somebody to rely on. I need somebody who, election after election, they get out to the polls and they vote. He's like, who does that? I know, the uber religious people in America, and the ultra right-wing evangelical Christians in America. So that's his move here, but let's think about this for a second. Is that a good move? I would say absolutely positively not. I think it's 100% a tactical error. And there's a reason why I say that. Ted, you have to open your eyes, man, and see. It's no longer 1953 in America. I mean, not only that, it's no longer the 70s or the 80s either. I mean, there was, the moral majority, which came about around that time frame. And you had people like John Hagee and Jerry Falwell and Pat Robertson. I think Pat Robertson ran for president in the 80s, and he did pretty fucking well. He got pretty far, which is fucking terrifying. But even back then, he didn't win. So the idea that today, oh my God, let me just, reach out to 25% of the American people, the ultra-religious evangelical Christians, and that'll get me into the White House. Well, your math must suck, because 25%... 30, 35%, maybe 40% max is still nowhere near enough to get your ass in the White House. So it's a bad move politically, but also I'd say it's a bad move policy-wise too. Because think about it. Okay, so you're going to defund Planned Parenthood. You know what's going to happen if you do that? You're going to have more babies born out of wedlock. I thought you were against that. You're going to have more STD transmissions. And you're going to have more abortions. Did you hear me, buddy? This is the one that should fucking drive you crazy, because this is what you guys pretend to care about all the time. If you defund Planned Parenthood, you're gonna have more abortions in America. There's no doubt about it. Now, why do I say that? I say that because studies have proven that. When you get rid of free clinics, when you get rid of contraception, when you get rid of condoms and IUDs and the pill and sex education, when you get rid of all these things which are preventative measures, people get pregnant more, teens get pregnant more, and that leads to more babies born out of wedlock and more abortions. And this goes back to, one of the things we talk about all the time on the show, which is, guys, this is why I'm opposed to the right wing. The things they believe don't make sense. And oftentimes they're flat out contradictory. So in Ted Cruz's mind and the mind of all the ultra right-wing Christian religious people, they say, you know, our main thing is stopping abortion. Our main thing is to stop, you know, kids born to single parents. This is what we care about, and this is what we're fighting for. But then every single policy that prevents that, they also oppose. So their idea is, let's rewire human nature. Let's bark at teenagers. Hey, you, don't have sex. And we're not going to teach you about safe sex either. So what the fuck do you expect to happen? I mean, you want to talk about Mission Impossible? Try getting 19-year-olds not to fuck. It really is Mission Impossible. I know, I was 19 at one point. You should know you were 19 at one point. Some of you are 19 right now. You know what that's like. If you're a dude, you got cum pouring out of your eyeballs. You can't fucking help it. You'll have sex with inanimate objects, like couches and shit. This idea of like, I know, here's a policy proposal. Gut all the free clinics, get rid of all the education, and then magically let's hope that abortions go down and STDs go down and stuff like that goes down. It's not going to happen. And then on top of that, only 3% of the services provided by Planned Parenthood are abortions. And on top of that 3% is not funded with tax dollars. So a lot of these Republicans have recently been saying, oh, come on, we got to stop funding abortions. Taxpayer money going to abortions. Mission accomplished. Fly the fucking banner. You win. You won that a long time ago. The Hyde Amendment is attached to bills all the time in Congress. The Hyde Amendment says federal tax dollars cannot go towards abortion. So they don't. So the 97% funding or whatever percentage of funding comes from the federal government. That's going towards the other things. The 3% that's for abortion is coming out of the pockets of the people who get the abortions. But I know, facts are irrelevant in the mind of Ted Cruz and irrelevant in the mind of the ultra-right wing, the Christian right wing. And here we have another example of it right here. Here we have an example of a politician exploiting the dumbest, most religious people in America to try to get into office. And guess what? It's not even going to work.